Alright, what is going on, guys? Scoob back, and today we're doing another episode of Scoob Reviews. And I thought we would go over Horizon, just the first part though, because it's pretty long. It's about 4 minutes, kind of ridiculous. But yeah, we're just gonna go over the first part of Horizon, and yeah, this was another big edit step for me because it was so long. This was the longest montage I had made since starting seriously editing, and so yeah, I was still figuring out a lot and learning a few things and using new things that I'd learned from making my XA2, and I put a lot of those things that I learned into practice in this montage. Guess let's just get into it. I wish I had done something cooler with this Team Solve intro. It just looks kind of bland, honestly. And I know sometimes people can go a little too crazy with the team intros and trying to make them look cool, but maybe just a little something. It does look kind of bland, honestly. Alright, this intro is super fucking lame. This is peak lame intro. It looks like I put no effort into it, which I really didn't put any effort into it. It's just some straight up text. At least I have some sort of shit going on here with the Shadow and BerT moving away from Horizon, so it's not that bad. And of course I use difference on the text, so it shows the opposite color of what's behind the text to make you be able to read it better, because if I had it all white it looked bad and you couldn't really see these parts. So I put it on difference and it looked alright. It looked pretty good. This cinematic's actually not that bad. It looks kind of cool, but this one is just lazy. There is no substitute for anything good there. Alright, so right off the bat, we can see one of the biggest things that I struggled with in this montage was the warp of the clips was so bad. And so I went from XA2 using PC clips to Horizon using console clips. And so I still hadn't really figured out how to fix warp because I didn't learn much from XA2 because I'm dumb. So it's really noticeable, right there's a ton of warp in the middle of the Darcy scope, and it's a pretty common theme throughout the entire montage. There's just warp on top of warp on top of warp because I just didn't really know how to fix it. Yeah, it gets super noticeable at times, and I wish I had gone back and figured out how to fix it, but in the moment I did not know, so it's tough to sort of harp on that because I just didn't know. Just went with it and tried to do as best I could to not have the clips warp. Alright, another big point is that this is the first montage where I really started heavy using the swoosh sound effects. It was good that I started using them because it brought a lot of variety to shots that mattered in clips, but it was bad because I really overused it. And when you have 4 minutes of overusing swoosh sound effects, it can get a little repetitive, and it definitely did. It is tough to see how much I use them, but eventually I figure it out. Another big point that really kind of stuck out in this montage for me is that my cinematic flow was really poor. It was so poor, in fact, that it's just super noticeable whenever sometimes you can have cinematics that aren't that good and sort of use time remap or sync it so it looks good, but none of that occurred here. It's just the pacing is off, the angle is off. You go from this sort of shot to just a real close up on the mask. It's just that they're at different speeds. Alright, I mean, nothing really to say about this clip. That was some nice sword flow, but sword clips aren't really that hard to sync anyway, but there's nothing super special about it. From an editing perspective, obviously it was a really cool clip from BerT, but yeah. So now we're coming up on Shadow's Whisper of the Worm Slayer on the Burnout. I knew from the beginning I wanted to do something with Escape because it's Our Escape is the title of the song, and so I couldn't really figure it out until towards the end of editing the second part. I was like, alright, I gotta go back and do this cinematic, and so I knew I wanted to motion track Escape somehow, and so I ended up going into a private match and then filming this cinematic. Initially I think I wanted to put it behind the hunter, but I ended up masking it out behind the big rock instead, and so you can see here I didn't mask it very well, so it's really noticeable that it's just a bad mask. This is definitely a cool shot. I like how the Escape kind of takes up the whole screen, and it has a nice little warp going on as well. Alright, so this is something that I really put into practice in this montage, is taking these parts of clips where where the character or the player is moving a lot, and there's a ton of motion or some jolt, a really fast motion, a fast scope in or a fast slide, and I try to accentuate that by using a swoosh sound effect and then using a twitch effect which shakes the screen and then blur to sort of emphasize the quickness of the motion. This was a problem in that BerT doesn't get this guy, because if you look down here, he's out of ammo. So he doesn't get this guy with fusion, and then I think the guy kills him. But in Dreams, I didn't have this problem. I didn't even show this part. But in Horizon, I did end up showing this. And then I guess it just looks really weird because he has this guy in his sights, and you don't really notice he has no ammo, so you're like, well, is he gonna kill him? But he doesn't, which is just weird. Right here, I really like this effect. We have RGB separation. We have some TV channel change effect going on, and then also some rays. What I did was with each beat of the song, I filled in a part of the load as a god scope with a color. I thought it looked good here, but what I didn't like about this clip is after the shot. After the shot, you would want it to be like slow, so you can like absorb what just happened from the scope, from like the scope effect and the cool shot. But what I ended up doing was just like shoot and then syncing again, another skip. This mistake leads up to this and this cinematic feeling really weird because the pacing is just super off. And this is another example of some really bad cinematic flow. It's like when you watch it, it just feels so weird. But now we're coming into this clip, and I edited this BerT's linear lights out in Dreams, and it looked like garbage. Like, it was really bad, and I am happy that I got the opportunity to redo it in this montage because I think I did it a whole lot better. I did this clip so much more justice here. This cinematic is super boring. There's literally nothing to say about this. It's just a hunter walking. But I actually like this one. I think this angle is really cool. This is like the first cinematic that I actually thought was really good in this, and so it kind of leads us into this next clip of a Darcy Slayer from Shadow. And so what's interesting about this clip is that he gets a Slayer, but he fires 6 shots, and I synced all 6, so it's kind of confusing. I can like think that he got a Reaper when he really didn't, if you like kind of weren't paying attention, which was kind of my fault. But I guess I couldn't really figure out a good way to do it without syncing all the shots. I could have probably cut one out. I just didn't think to do it at the time. 6 shots, but only 5 kills. I like this part. I liked how I sort of tinted it more and I like cut out the colors, but it would have been cooler if I put some like film damage effect or just some grain. I don't know, something to separate it from the previous clips besides just drowning out the colors. And also the sound effects aren't very good here. You can't really hear what's going on, but I really like this shot. So then we have this cinematic, which I didn't think was that bad, actually. This is one where I kind of got the pacing right. And then this walking one was just kind of lazy, honestly. I don't know why I filmed it. It doesn't look that bad in the final product, but I probably could have done something better. Little lens flare on the tip of the knife there. I don't remember where I saw that, but definitely wasn't original. It looks kind of cool. I probably could have moved it over, like, to this part of the knife instead of up here. It's just okay. It's not something that's spectacular, but it kind of served its purpose in the moment. Like, it's just a cool little effect. Some Darcy quick scopes. I remember these were really hard to sync for me because I just couldn't get the pacing right. Like, I was showing either too much of before the shot versus after the shot, or showing too much after versus before. And I'm glad I actually finally got it right after experimenting with it, because I think it looks pretty good in the final render. Alright, this cinematic, Shadow says was his favorite in the whole montage, and I'll agree, it looks really nice. It feels good because it's not like the other ones, and that's why it's so nice. Even if the pacing is kind of weird because, like, it just doesn't transition well to the sword clip. And also, if you're, like, semi-paying attention, you can tell that that's a hunter. And then we go to the clip, and BerT's obviously using a warlock, so for some reason, this clip always warps a ton whenever I edit it. Like, it's super noticeable. I just don't know why. Like, in Dreams, it warped a shit ton, in Horizon, it warped a ton for some reason. Alright, second time I motion tracked Escape to something, and I feel like this one looks a lot better than the Burnout, because I like how in this shot, like, the subject, the player, is sort of off to the side, and I have Escape sort of up here, so your eye's not really like laying on anything in the middle, so you kind of go between both of them, and that was a cool perspective that I thought I captured here. So something interesting about his Borealis clips in this montage is that I could never get the Borealis sound right, and I don't know why. This build-up zoom-in shot was also really bad. I don't know why. I probably should have redone that, honestly. And then I did the exact same thing again, which just made it feel super redundant. Like, I could have definitely done something else. Alright, so in this clip, I do a little warp thing, which actually looks cool. Like, I pull the screen in and then do a warp to get this motion looking really fast to skip to when he slides into the actual clip where he starts killing people. This Darcy flow is really good. Like, I'm glad I ended this part on this clip because just the flow is really nice. And I feel like I capture the motion of the clip really well. Like, you can see the clear-cut sync of it with the shots and the movement of him walking forward. So, yeah, that's all of part 1. Overall, it was a good part. You can definitely see areas where I fell short, like the cinematics and abusing the sound effects and some other effects. But there's also a lot of areas where I felt I improved from my XA2, like just using the sound effects in general. And then also a few of the cinematics I was pretty proud of. And then also, as I talked about before, really capturing, like, the natural, like, speed motion of some clips that I felt was really important and gave this, like, whole montage, like, a quick, snappy feel. And that's what I really wanted. I wanted to capture that quickness, that fastness that you could sort of see when I edited this. And I felt I did that really well with the shake and the blur. Alright, so that is going to be it for this Scoob Reviews. On the next one, we're going to be going over Horizon Part 2. And, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.